Does that happen before?
No. Great. What? It's our old camera. Okay. X, Y, and Z. Parametric equations. 1, 1, 1 plus 1 times t. Your vector is 1, negative 1, 1. So 1t is just t. That's negative 1. So negative 1 times t is minus t. And that's 1 times t. That's just t. Who got that right?
Well,
Yeah.
Just put all those there.
I put the, I did the same thing. He did,
Okay.
yeah, he did that.
So now you got it.
Yeah.
All the letters.
Okay. Don't use the letters. Your coefficients. Okay, we good with this?
Yeah.
Really? You sure?
Yeah.
Shoot something at us.
Do another one.
Alright. I want you to do the same type of thing. I'm going to have you do the same. What do you need to find parametric equations? What do you need?
Point the vector.
Decimal point and the vector. Right?
See.
Two things.
Always put
Are you
this
only
work
giving
to
us
get our
one
point vector.
Huh?
You're only gonna do this one now.
Well, if you only have one, then you can't do it, right? You need two things. Here's P. And your terminal point. What do you gotta do?
Gotta find the
How do you find the vector?
vector. Subtract.
U minus P.
0 minus 2 is negative 2, 1 minus negative 1 is 2, negative 3 minus the negative 2.
Negative 5.
No, you had to be your ones now.
Go!
I
Do
was
it.
Corey that said that.
I definitely didn't say that. I don't get that.
What, that's the slow writer.
I figured you would have been ahead of me already because I was going too slow for you because you're so smart.
Wait. Really? What's that's what is that? Is that the vector?
That problem is given 2 points. Can you give me the parametric equations? So you have to have the initial point, which is given,
Okay.
and you have to have a vector, but you don't have the vector, but you can find the vector by taking q minus p.
Okay. Is that what you? That's what you just did.
Yep, p to q is q minus p.
So it's okay.
Like that, is that good, bro?
I don't know what the answer is because I didn't finish it on my sheet, but I did.
Oh, you're slacking.
You're gonna get a 0 for this.
You're slacking.
I drew a picture.
No,
Did you draw a picture?
Come on, Mr. Young Thug.
Young
Get
thug?
with the program.
Yeah.
Should I make you draw the three-dimensional figures?
No.
I mean-
No. No. Please.
No.
Let's not. Hi, please.
No, Mr. Lockwood, you should not. I mean,
I did.
Nothing. We play Scrabble.
Okay.
Do you see anything?
X. Can I do this?
Yeah.
I didn't hear any notes. 2, negative 1, negative 2, plus, let's do minus 2t,
plus 2t.
plus 2t,
And minus
Minus
1t.
minus t. You got it right.
Is it okay if we put the 1 there?
Yeah, it's fine. It's the same thing.
No, I won't offer to answer. Mr. Young Thug.
It's seriously the same thing.
No, it's not. Mr. Young Thug.
It's like all the numbers.
Mr. Young Thug has to answer.
All the
It's the
numbers.
same thing.
Brady,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will beat you like a
I
man
agree.
made you are.
It's a
Really good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Also with that.
Okay, so you all are ready, right?
For what?
That is seriously half, if not just a little bit more than half of your assignment tonight.
Yeah.
So what's the other half?
Please tell me what this is over this tomorrow.
Your what?
Are we taking your quiz over this stuff tomorrow?
Oh yeah, this is on the quiz. Section 4, 5, and
This is what's
6.
gonna save.
Look at this. This is terrible.
We'll
I'm
take
not
it
even
for
ready.
section 5. Garbage is what you are.
Yes, you are.
Fine. You ready?
Oh, no.
An equation of the plane intercepts and graph.
Oh no, we got a crowd.
Now that you know how, shouldn't be a problem.
Big problem.
Alright. This is actually pretty simple. Okay. I I can explain where it comes from again, but I think if I just show you how to do this, it'll be a little simpler for you. We can talk about where it came from later. Alright, what you want to do, oh maybe I should do some explanation here. The equation of a plane deals with an never mind. N equals 3, 2, and 0, and a point P, 1, 2, 7. Here's how you find the equation of a plane. First of all, this vector is perpendicular to the plane. That's important because how do we find orthogonal vectors? What did I say at the beginning of class? Cross product gives you an orthogonal vector. Because on one of your problems you may have to find an orthogonal vector to get started. Alright, so this vector is orthogonal to the plane. Okay, here's how you do this. I'm just going to make it as simple as possible. You take each of these entries and multiply it by the x minus the initial point. I'm going to explain this. And 2 times the y minus the initial point. 0 times z minus 7. And set it equal to 0. So this is what you just did. An orthogonal vector times r, I erased it. And the r is the x, y, and z, right? Of your parametric equations. R is the vector. So that vector minus that initial point. That's what this is. Because we don't know that vector, any of the vectors that are in that plane.
Wait, why is it minus and not plus for the x minus 1? Oh wait, never mind. I see. Okay, I see now. Because it's n. I see. Yeah, never mind. I see the equation. You don't have to write anymore. Stop.
This right here gives us multiple vectors, different vectors. Okay, so the r minus r sub 0 gives us that parametric part that gives us all the types of vectors. Except we don't have any of the vectors in the plane. So we can figure out what the equation of the plane is that has all the vectors in it by taking the x, y, and z minus the initial point. That's what these pieces are. And if we multiply it by the orthogonal vector, that helps us get the equation. So now we distribute, that's 3x minus 3, 2y minus 4, plus 0 equals 0, so that's just gone. We have 3x plus 2y, put everything else on the right side. Add 3, add 4, we get 7. Z being 0 all the time means that this plane isn't coming up or down. It means it's level, and not only is it level, it's going through the z-axis at 0. So if we look at that corner again, the equation of this plane is really the floor. Okay, so visually that's what that is. Yeah, watch how easy it is to graph now. In intercepts and graph, you can't graph without the intercepts. Well, you can.
Shut up.
He's helping me with the math.
You should ask me. That's fair enough. How do we find intercepts? Math.
Terrible.
In algebra, when you were graphing your x and your y's, I wanted the x-intercept. How'd you find the x-intercept? set what to 0? The y. It's the same thing with 3 dimensions. If I want the x-intercept, y has to be 0 and z has to be 0. And that'll tell me what the x-intercept is. So z is already 0. So if y is 0, what's x?
Wait, if y is 0, 3x equals. So it's
7/3. Okay, to get the y-intercept on your quiz and test, you'd set x equal to 0 and z equal to 0. So z is already 0. If we set x equal to 0, we get 2y equals 7. What do we get?
7/2, which is like 3.5.
7/2. And to get the z-intercept, in this case we already know it, it's 0. But you would plug 0 in for x and y to get what z is, okay? Graphing this. So the x-intercept's at 2 1/3. I'm going to draw this fairly large here. 2 1/3. The y-intercept's at 3 1/2. And z is at 0. So you connect these dots to kind of give it a flat look to it.
Why is it a triangle instead of like a square?
We need 4 points per square.
Wait,
It's just to show you that technically it's the whole xy plane.
okay.
It's going to be a triangle because eventually this is going to come up and you're going to be like slicing through like this,
Okay.
and the triangles will be, kind of strange looking.
Alright.
It's to give you the impression that it's the that it's a plane.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, because when we draw planes, you usually have 4 corners.
Okay.
So like if we had a plane coming through, slicing through, these 3 parts of our axes, it would look like a triangle in this section. Okay, it would be coming up to a point where it's slicing through.
Okay.
All right. Let's have you do one. Because you have to do this on the quiz and the test. I do have 3 tests ready for you. N is equal to -2/3, -1/3, and 1. Your initial point is -6, 0, -3. This is number 18.
Not 2/3.
Yep. Yes, it is. Now, what did I say? You have to have 2 things to come up with the equation of a plane. You have to have an orthogonal vector. So if you're not given an orthogonal vector, you have ways of finding one. Cross product gives you an orthogonal vector. Just remember that, because you're not always going to be, it's just not going to give you everything. But for the most part, you got it. What? Yeah. But you can find an orthogonal vector by doing cross product. Okay? You know how to find vectors given points, so you're going to have problems where they just give you 3 points. You can get 2 vectors. You need 2 vectors to do cross product, which will give you the orthogonal vector. And then you use the first point they give you for the initial point. So there's going to be a little work involved with 1 or 2 of your problems tonight. But you know how to do everything. I'm just trying to make sure you understand an orthogonal vector with the initial point. All right. Yes, but it is, I erased it already. Oh, r minus r sub 0. So
Minus and minus.
z minus a negative 3 is z plus 3. So somewhere in your reference sheet, make sure you have this stuff. That big piece that I had here, and then how to actually do a parametric equation. Whatever it takes for you to remember how to do it. You gotta give me the intercepts and you gotta graph it. X-intercept, can I go on? Okay, x-intercept is when y and z are 0, so those are gone. So I have negative 2/3 x equal to 1. What does x equal? Negative 3 halves. Alright, so I'll just draw the graph as we do it. Negative 3 halves. 1, 2, 3. It'd be negative 1.5. Alright, so the y-intercept is when x and z are 0, so you have negative 1/3 y equals 1. So what does y equal? Negative 3. Reciprocal, right? And draw this big enough. Alright, so there's x to y. And the z-intercept, when these are 0, 1. I'm going to make this not quite right. I'll put 1 way up here just so you can see the triangle better. Because if I put it where it's supposed to be, if I put it there, it looks like a straight line. Okay, so it's a very low plane going through the center of our triple axis here. Okay, your assignment, page 619, 3 to 25 odds.
325 off.
Big quiz tomorrow, big quiz. Yes.
So I'll have to take
Forget
that.
wrapping paper.
Yeah, I do have some left. If you want some graphic paper, you can come grab the score on each page. Once it's gone, it's gone. I don't think you need more than 4, maybe you do. I think you're only graphing those parts. We good?
Yep.
I'll set them about.